who doesn't know what Agile Reloaded is, with a little bit of a little presentation of Agile Reloaded and this meetup. Today I'm so happy because I'm here with my colleagues. You know, this is a meetup before COVID appeared. This meetup was physically located in Milan, and I am the only one living in Milan. So it wasn't possible for them to stay with me. So I'm happy because Marco, Giovanni, Fabio, Pino are here with me. So I would like to leave to Marco, CEO of Agile Reloaded, the opportunity to say something about our company. That's it.
Thank you, Antonio, but I don't want to steal any minutes from our topic and Teodora. So we are an Agile company. So we do consultancy, coaching, and some stuff related to Agile. We love Kanban as a tool, as an approach. We are a distributed company, so nothing changed quite a lot about how we work in the company from peers. Changed a lot about how we're working with customers. So also the meetup has changed the settings for in these days. But we hope to meet in person very soon. So we host this meetup. This is the last presentation. You can find us on LinkedIn and on the website Agile Reloaded. If you need, you can deep dive about our mission. I think it's time to listen to the teams from Teodora.
Okay, I have prepared real stories from companies I've been working with, and they are all about Kanban and the Kanban Maturity Model. So maybe if you have some preliminary expectations or something that you are interested to hear about, maybe you can, all the participants can tell me a little bit and just to orient me.
All the participants are the same level as us, so we are all participants, Agile Reloaded or not. So okay. I think we can start. Antonio, do you have some words about our guest tonight?
Yeah. So if you are ready, Teodora, you know, I met Teodora. This is my first time met Teodora. But some months ago I decided to take a course in Valencia with her, and I tried to go there, but then suddenly COVID appeared. We started to keep in contact, and suddenly I realized that why not hosting Teodora in our meetup. So she decided to take this event with us. So I'm so honored to host you, Teodora. So this is right now this is your meetup. So
okay, thank you. So enjoy. If you like, I can share my screen and then we can start, right? Oops. Do you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to move this. Okay, here. Okay, I'm Teodora Boseva. You know, I live in Bilbao. This is the northern part of Spain. And for several years already, almost 10 years, I'm working with Kanban, helping organizations to improve their agility. And since 2017, I started working with David Anderson on the Kanban Maturity Model. Well, I was working with him before that, but in 2017, we started developing the Kanban Maturity Model. So Kanban Kanban is, for lots of years, Kanban was known as alternative path to agility. That means that's like an alternative method for developing agility in organizations. And we realized that although Kanban is a very simple method, only 6 practices, lots of companies were struggling with applying these practices and really observing a higher level of agility. And that's how, gradually collecting experiences from different companies, we came to the Kanban Maturity Model. And the idea of this model is to guide the companies, the organizations, in how to introduce Kanban practices and in what form, in such a way that they can see improvements faster. Okay, but I will almost not talk about the model or the method in theory. First, I'm going to show you experiences, problems of real companies, and then you will understand which were the practices which I've been using in these companies. So you will get an idea how this method can be used and what for. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me at any moment. I prefer to answer the questions where they appear instead of waiting for them for the end of the presentation. I have not prepared this presentation as a class or a lecture. It's rather a conversation. Okay, so I'm going to show you the examples and we'll tell you the stories. So if you have questions, observations, or whatever, let me know. Okay. Okay, this is, you can, the same as I can see your company, you can search for Berry Process Agility and you will see that we are providing training, coaching, and we also do integration of management tools with Kanbanize, which is a tool for Kanban. We think that this is the best tool right now. And yeah, if you want to learn more, here you have the details. So let's start with the real cases. Case number 1 is this organization. The name of the company is ViewNext, and it's located in Madrid. And in 2016, when I met them, this is like 1st or 2nd of September, the first day of September 2016, and the director of the IT department told me that we have so much work by the end of the year that my department of 12 people, they are not going to have any holiday, any weekend, so no holidays, no way to take a rest between beginning of September and end of December. And in Spain, there are quite some public holidays in these 4.
She's freezed.
Yeah. Well.
4 months, but of people, there was not going to. Company management had to prepare their workspaces, their computers, their offices, and the offices were opened in different places in Spain, not only in Madrid. So in places like Barcelona, Murcia, Valencia, Alicante, Bilbao, many other places. So they had lots of work during the week. They were responsible for buying the computers, buying all the furniture that was needed for the offices, installing all the software on the computers, establishing all the networks, phone lines, everything that was necessary for the normal functioning of the offices. And they were preparing all these jobs, let's say, during the weeks, and during the weekends they were going to the places where they had to install the offices in such a way that on Monday, the next week, the new employees, the new people could enter the offices and have
Theodora?
Everything in place and start. And it was really a very hot period of time with lots of work and people really overburdened from so many tasks. So yeah, I had to tell you all this here without showing you the board, because when I met them, they had a management system in which they were reporting, they were registering some tasks, but most of the tasks were coming from the coffee machine, from the corridor, from the email, from chat, from WhatsApp, and through many different channels, and were not registered at any place. So these 12 people were really very stressed in this situation. Okay, and so the director of this department called me and said, okay, let's do something about it, because it's so much work that we are afraid that we will forget something, or simply something will not go very well, and we cannot afford this. So what we did with them is first designing the this Kanban board, which you see. You see here which is the phases of the workflow, what types of work they have. You can see that they are fixing incidents, giving authorization to people. In the beginning, they were thinking that, yeah, maybe during this period, we are not going to have any of these tasks, but afterwards they realized that 2,000 new employees requires at least 2,000 authorizations in different systems. So we added this row as well on the Kanban board. Then internal projects and external projects. You see here the big bulk of post-its is in the row of internal projects. And these are precisely the projects that were related to opening all these offices and installing them. And for them, they did not manage this work in any other system, because they were considering that this is something temporary. So it was not necessary to manage it formally. Okay, so here you see projects, other projects in which they were participating, maintenance of different systems, and others, which is everything that does not fit into any of these roles on the Kanban board. So you see these different types of work. You see also different products, because they maintain different systems, applications, things like this, infrastructure. And you see that there were quite some tickets. If you look here, these small green tickets, these are fixed dates by which something has to happen. For example, an infrastructure has to be established by a certain date, because the office will be opened next Monday. Some are urgent. These are usually cases when something has to occur very soon, almost immediately. Otherwise, they will not be able to meet some deadline. And I don't know whether you see, but there are some tickets with red dots, and in fact, there are quite some of them. And a red dot means that there is kind of blockage on this work item, which is represented here by this post-it, and there are quite some of them. Blocked means that there is an impediment in delivering this work, or in finishing this work, which is represented by the post-it. And that's why it is marked, just to signal that there is a problem, there is a kind of blocker related with this work item. So what was the interesting part here? In the beginning, we designed, of course, this Kanban board. Unfortunately, I did not keep the picture without post-it. So you immediately see this, which is the second step. Once we designed the board, we said, okay, now let's visualize all the work which we have. And this is what we saw. Here, there are 229 tickets, if we counted them well, because there were plenty of them, for 12 people. So this means that there were 18, 19, on average, there were 18, 19 tickets per person. And other interesting facts about this case, you will see in this yellow rectangular, only these tickets, which are precisely 20% of the tickets, were registered and were managed in their management system. So the department manager and the management of the company was seeing only this part of the work that was done, and they were thinking that this is what was keeping these 12 people busy during this time. And in fact, all this part of the work, which is 80% of the work, was not reported and registered in any system. I already see 3 questions or chats, so if you...
Yes, Lucia asking what's the meaning of the column. Antonio is trying to translate, I think, but I think the question I had something is about where the queues. So okay.
Yeah, you will see now where the queues are.
Okay.
Okay, so first you get the idea that all this work comes from the coffee machine, the corridor, the chat, the WhatsApp, etc., and it's not registered. So if you ask the management of the department whether their people are busy, you see that they are not busy. So this is the work that is generated for their free time. Okay, so about the queues. Since I have to. Okay, so you see, column means queue for the department and queue for today. These 2 columns are the queue. And the rest is work in progress.
Yes.
So I don't know what you think here, but there was a good amount of multitasking happening in this case. Okay, so each one of the column represents different stages from the workflow, but in fact, everything in this part, in this red rectangular, is work in progress, and only this is queue. Okay. Okay, so we said, okay, more questions?
How many people work at this task?
12. Work at one task. In the department, there were 12 people, 18, 19 tickets per person on average. Okay. And they were helping each other if they could understand that somebody needed help. But with so many work in progress and so many tasks per person, it's not easy to realize that somebody needs help.
Yes, yes. And so, also to ask help to someone because you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly. It was really a matter of surviving individually, however they could. Okay. So when the director saw this image, this situation, he said, I knew that we had lots of work, but I couldn't imagine that much. Good. So what did we do for this? You can see all the mountain of tickets, we moved it to the queue where they have to be. And we said that, okay, let's reduce a little bit the work in progress. But reducing the work in progress, if one has 18, 19 tickets to 2 or 3 is impossible. Because you see so many green tickets with dates that cannot be moved that are already committed. You see so many blocked work that it's really hard, simply emotionally, psychologically hard to decide from all the 20 tickets that I have, which are the 2 or 3 or 5 most important, which I keep in progress, and the rest I can leave it in the queue. So it was a hard step. So they first reduced the work in progress to something like 7, 8 per person, which was more than 50% reduction. And afterwards, gradually they reduced to 3, 4, but it was not easy. Of course, we defined the policies. They defined the policies that they decided to use for managing work, defined the classes of services, the criteria for prioritizing work, and gradually they started working, applying the principles of flow. And the big surprise for all of them was that they were capable to finish something at the end of every day. So they could go home thinking, okay, today I deserve a dinner because I finished something.
Yes, I've accomplished something.
Yeah, by that time, it was, for them, it was like every day doing plenty of things, but at the end of the day, having nothing finished. And they were telling me, you know, Teodora, at 7 or 8 in the evening, when I start closing the windows on my computer, sometimes I find out that the email which I started answering at 8:30 in the morning is not finished yet.
I'm still here. Yes, I know this feeling.
So you can imagine.
Yes, of course. Let's try to define a working agreement for this meetup for the participant. If you want to ask me to ask something to Teodora, write in the chat. If you want to speak for yourself, come si dice, alzare la mano, raise your hand with Miro, or write in the chat, I want to ask a question. For this way, we have Daniel Palmisano is asking, what is the difference between type of work and class of services, if a different classification?
Yeah, of course. Type of work, the types of work are defined by the nature of work. For example, in this case, what we see here, if you ask this group of people what they do, they will tell you, we fix bugs, we give authorization to people who are new to some systems, or we do maintenance of all the information systems in the company. So the type of work is defined by the nature of the work, okay, what it consists of. Okay, class of service is how we treat a work item, a certain work. It's not a type of work. We can treat differently any type of work, and I will explain this. For example, we can only talk about the type of work of fixing incidents, fixing bugs, but not all the bugs are the same. We might have a bug which, if we do not fix it immediately, maybe some customer or some user of a system simply cannot work, cannot do anything. So this means that fixing the bug has very high impact on the work that the other person is doing, because he stopped, he cannot do anything. Okay, so in this case, this is what we call a class of service, the need to treat a work item differently. And if we see that there is a very high impact of not executing a certain work item very quickly, immediately, we say that the class of service is urgent. Okay. Yes. We can have incidents.
I think the class of services is about how the deliverable is perceived by the company, and from an external point of view, in class of value, and the type of work is the stuff you can do. So from an internal point of view, how we do things.
The type of work is, yes, what we do and how we do it. The class of services, how quickly, how fast I need this. Otherwise, there will be some consequences, some impact of not doing this work now. What we said, if an incident prevents another person from doing, this is urgent. However, we might have bugs that can stay there for months and nobody will suffer from this. So these are like standard bugs. And there might be bugs or incidents that should not be, it's not necessary to be fixed immediately because somebody cannot continue working, but for certain date, they have to be finished. They have to be fixed. And we call this class of service fixed date.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is the difference.
So the class of services express the urgency and the prioritization in some way.
Exactly.
Is it right? Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's why here the other way to call classes of services prioritization criteria. Okay, so we put here.
Thanks a lot.
And okay, so this team started working like this, and they, I don't know whether you see here, but here on the right-hand side of the board, there are plastic envelopes, plastic bags in which they were putting the post-its, which they finished every day. And by the end of the weeks, they were very proud of themselves to see that there were many post-its finished there. And yeah, it's like a good feeling of fulfillment that they have achieved something. Otherwise, by that time, by starting working in this way, they were thinking that they were simply could not finish anything. The problem was not only that they were thinking, they were not happy with the situation that they were doing lots of work, and in the end of the day, it appeared that they haven't done anything. The additional problem was that for the people from the company who were asking them for something, to do something, to deliver something, the impression was that these 12 guys, we don't know what they are doing, but whatever we ask them, they never deliver. They are always late. And it was again from outside, they were seen like lazy people who were not capable of delivering anything. And nobody really was really understanding what was the situation, the real situation in this team. Okay. So very quickly, the situation in the beginning of September 2016 was rather chaotic and overburdened people. So in less than a week, 2 weeks, they were capable to manage this chaos and working in a more better organized manner. Afterwards, they switched to an electronic tool and started using it for managing their work. So, but what I wanted to tell you is that what they did in order to cope with the chaos and with the overburdening of the people were very simple things like visualize the workflow, visualize all the work, not only the work items that were in their management system, but visualizing everything, because as you saw, 80% of the work was not registered in any place. And also, when the manager of this department saw this situation, he said, I will forbid everybody to enter your office. And if somebody wants something, I will ask him first to see what's there on the board, because it was really impressive when you enter the office and you see this amount of tickets on the board. Yeah, it required thinking a little bit before asking for something additional. Then limiting the work in progress, which in fact helped them to finish work, because simply it's not human to be able to carry out in parallel 18, 20 tickets on average. All these are different work items. Okay, agreeing the policies. This is something interesting, because when we started writing down the policies, we found out that in the beginning they said, yeah, we all know how to do our work, so we don't need to write down the policies. But I insisted, okay, let's write down the policies. What we discovered with this is first that they were 12 people, and all of them were having different ideas about how work had to be prioritized and how work had to be done. So making the policies explicit unifies this way of thinking and this way of understanding. And however, this after that, this helps a lot in making decisions which are correct, and everyone knows why a certain decision is taken. And the big surprise here for the manager was that managers also have to follow the policies, because the first or the second day when we defined the policies, you saw them that they put them on the board here, on the wall next to the board. And of course, the next day, the manager came and brought new work from the corridor. And they said, no, these are the policies. And we decided that we are going to work in this way. So this new job that you are bringing has to go to the queue. And he was very surprised and said, oh, really? So are these policies also for me? I'm the director. And yeah, he realized that, of course, if he insisted, the work from the queue, from the corridor would immediately go in progress. But he already was understanding what was the impact that he would produce with inserting this new ticket directly in progress. So that was kind of discovery for the manager as well.
Okay.
So that's why you see here that policies are for everyone.
Yes, it's about the process, not the people.
Exactly. It's about the process. It's about managing work. It's about understanding what we all have to deliver to our customers, what is important to finish today, what is important to finish next week. So it's not about being manager or not manager. It's about, do we want to deliver this to the customer well or not?
Of course. Teodoro, you have a couple of questions, if you agree.
Okay.
From Claudia, about metrics, about results. Did you increase the rate of tickets being registered in the management system?
Yes, I have metrics, because initially we started simply managing the post-its, and afterwards I started collecting metrics. But I have not prepared them for this case. But yes, they started collecting data. In fact, when they started collecting data, they realized that reducing work in progress was helpful to them, because they immediately saw this drop in that reducing the work in progress was increasing the number of work items delivered.
So in terms of throughput, the teams have done more things than before.
Exactly.
Tickets.
Exactly. Yes.
Claudia, I think this answered your question. If not, raise your hand or speak up.
Yeah, kind of, but I wanted to know how, because you said not all the work were registered in the management systems, but how did they get all the tickets in the system and registered in the system?
That was the system. The first 4 months, it was a matter of survival, and that was the system. So registering a work item was putting the post-it on the board.
And this was part of the policies.
Yes, and afterwards they were counting how many post-its they had here at the end of the board completed.
Cool.
And after that, by the end of December, it was really a matter of survival, and they were managing their work with this physical board. And afterwards, they started using an electronic tool. I can't remember. It was kind of tool which happened to be part of their ERP. And they started registering the tickets. They removed they didn't use anymore the physical board. And then they were already capable to take more advantage from the data, from the collected data. But in the beginning, the first 3-4 months, they were managing their work with the physical board only.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. We have another question from Christine. I think it's a point he made. Another tips, it will be select a small wall to reduce the number of post-its and visualize the overloading better.
Yeah.
Shrinking the board to let the work flow.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But on the first day, there were so many tickets that it was good that they had more space on the wall. But yeah, it's true. If they limit the wall, the space on the wall, this would exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is this case. What we see here is a team, 12 people, not a small team, very overloaded, feeling the chaos in what they had to do, feeling a big pressure by the need to meet deadlines and to deliver everything well, because the chance to go back and fix something in some offices, newly opened offices, was only making the work on other offices later, delayed. So it was not a good solution. And this is what they did to get out of this situation, to survive. Okay. Of course, the role of the manager was important here, not to change priorities every day, and not to insist to start new work, although new work was continuing to enter, but he was controlling this because he was seeing the real situation. But again, to see the real situation, it was important to visualize it. Okay, good. This is a different case, case 2, about managing uncertainty by means of visibility and cooperation. This is an industrial company. This is like the other extreme. The first case was about a team of 12 people. And here you see a company of 450 people approximately, industrial company developing very large and very complex projects. If you want to get an idea, like about their projects, the smallest projects of theirs are with budget between 1 and 5 million euro. The more normal projects are like 30-35 million euros. These are large construction projects in different places in the world. And they involve working with many providers, with different teams, with different from different specialties, like electronic engineer, mechanical engineers, software developers, people who are producing, manufacturing, very well, depending on what is needed. Okay, so there is also manufacturing as part of this project, complex logistics, complex management of civil engineering works in different places of the world. So really complex projects. And the interesting point about this company was that at my first meeting with the CEO, he told me that they needed to increase the competitiveness of their business, and that's why they needed to improve their project management. And in this company, there were like they are still there, like 15 professional project managers certified by Project Management Institute, trained, prepared, having all the tools and all the skills and knowledge needed to manage complex projects. And although they are doing their best for managing their projects, the projects are late, the projects suffer over budgeting, because in such a large and complex projects, they have to meet lots of regulations, and if they don't meet, if they have some delays in some deadlines, they have kind of fines they have to pay. So over budgeting was important issue. And the interesting point is that for the CEO, he understands that they have to improve their project management, but he told me, in order to improve the project management, we have to change the culture of the company. And that's why we are interested in Kanban. They had started with Agile, they were doing Scrum, and in fact, they had a very big meeting room, Obeya room with boards for many teams, but they were kind of lost in this situation. Okay, so they are still on this journey. So I cannot show you, we have a very strict confidential agreement with them, so I cannot show you pictures, but I will explain you the case. And I hope that in the end of this year or beginning of next year, they will publish their case study, because their experience is really very interesting. Complex situation, but very motivated management team, And so far they are doing very well. So I really hope that they publish their case study. Big surprise when we decided to start working with them. No, when we started working with them, we said, okay, it's clear that which is the challenge for your company. We have to start with good training on Kanban. We have to teach you how to design Kanban systems, how to manage projects with Kanban, how to manage dependencies between different teams, how to manage dependencies between projects, how to manage all the work you are handling from end to end, because the work is going through many different groups of specialists. And the interesting thing was that at the first training on Kanban system design and Kanban management professional, we met the entire management team and all project managers. So in fact, they said the management is convinced that if they really want to see improvements in the management of their projects, they have to be part of this. They have to understand what the Kanban method suggests, what it supposes for the company and for managing the work. And so they were present there, which is interesting because I don't know how is it in Italy, but in Spain, it's quite typical that when a company decides to start an initiative, to such trainings, they would typically send people from the first line doing the work every day, and the management will either consider that they know what it means to manage work with Kanban, or they would need a shorter training, or even not a training, but rather orientation.
Yes.
I have a company that the management team told me, can you shrink all the training to 2 hours for us?
Yeah. You're too busy to listen for one day.
Yeah. I can shrink it to 2 hours. The question is, what would be the outcome out of this? So in this case, we have a very motivated management team, very much involved in everything they're doing. They start because their projects are so complex, and because they are working in different places of the world, and they have also in Spain, they have different offices, and they also have plants, manufacturing plants. So for them, physical board is not a viable solution. And that's why they started immediately with Kanbanize, this tool which we think that is appropriate for them. And yeah, so they designed their Kanban systems, and we started from managing the workflow end to end. This means from the beginning of the project, from the moment when the contract for a project is signed. We also the preliminary phases are managed by Kanban, but more strictly from the moment that the contract is signed until its delivery. And here you can get an idea, because I often get the question that Kanban is for simple waterfall work cycles, life cycles, and it's not appropriate for complex life cycles. So here you can see and you can get an idea how the life cycle for these projects is. So they start with the developing specifications for the project. Afterwards, they continue with these activities that are done in parallel: mechanical design, electrical design, software development. In parallel to this, there is purchase of components or products or installations that are not developed in-house. Then in-house manufacturing that goes in parallel, and also external manufacturing, which is produced by a supplier for this company. Then everything is put together, is integrated and installed. Then final testings are produced on the at the place where this installation is where the project, the final project result is developed or is constructed, and then the final delivery to the customer. And although you see here like I don't know, less than 10 boxes, this workflow is really complex with many dependencies between work. You can imagine how many work items flow through all these stages, and how many things can happen to all these work items in parallel. So in fact, they decided to start with Kanban precisely because they didn't have any realistic, any viable solution to address uncertainty. The big problem for these projects is that nowadays in the world, so many things that happen can happen that affect their projects, that it's impossible to predict and to foresee and to have a list of risks that you can manage effectively to address all these problems. So problems could happen in different places, in different countries, due to social or political situation in this country. Problems happen because providers get late. Problems happen because something that was initially designed and decided to be purchased either come late or some changes have to happen, or sometimes, for example, some pieces might be missing, and this requires redesigning, making redesign of the initial design. Of course, many changes to customer specifications, because when such enormous projects get started, of course, the customers do not have everything clear. Simply, it's impossible. So there are so many uncertainty in the environment of delivering these projects that they realize that no method is appropriate, can foresee everything that could happen to this kind of projects, and that's why they gave up the formal project management, and they realized that they need to adopt a method that allows them to adapt and to react quickly to the situations that have produced, that has developed, and yeah, don't think very much on what was planned or not. In fact, when they were starting with Kanbanize, initially, of course, they were thinking, where is my Gantt chart? And they were having the Gantt chart in parallel to the timeline in Kanbanize. And like less than a month after starting with it, the director of the project management office told us, remove this timeline because it doesn't tell me what I have to focus on today. So this is important, what I can do today, which is the right decision that I have to take today. And neither the Gantt chart nor a timeline is telling us anything about this. I see questions.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay, good. So very complex projects, very large projects, and several teams, not to say many, but quite some teams with different specialists working on these projects. What is really helpful for them is obtaining, starting from this visibility at project level, end to end, and having an understanding what is the real status of work, and then thinking what kind of risk or potential problems we could expect, for example, for meeting certain deadlines. And this visibility helps them work in a coordinated manner, meet better deadlines, and they are aware that starting to work in this way is also changing the culture in the organization, because working transparently, visualizing all the work, all the projects on the board, and everyone is able to see them, and everyone agrees on some policies and applies these agreed policies to managing work. This changes the way people make decisions, how they relate in the proper organization. So they observe that the collaboration is improving, the collaboration not only within the teams of specialists, but also between teams, because they see, again, they are focused on delivering this project. And it's not that before being able to see the state of the workflow on the Kanban board, they were not thinking on the projects. Of course, they were thinking on the project. However, visualizing the workflow end to end gives them a lot better visibility and speeds up decisions. So in fact, they are reducing delays also for other reasons, because they are still trying to limit work in progress, but only making the right decisions faster already reduces delays in the projects, which is very important. And in these projects, every day delay is very expensive. So automatically reducing delays reduces the over budgeting. So really very important for them. Yeah, this is what I wanted to explain you. They have 3 levels of Kanban boards. Okay, for each one of the areas, they have this Kanban board for the area. For example, for the electrical engineers, for mechanical engineers, for software development, for logistics, for purchasing department, for the manufacturing plants. They also have this end-to-end project workflow. So there are dependencies between the deliverables which are at this level and the deliverables or the tasks that are at the area level. And they have a higher level of visualization of all multiple projects that they are running in parallel. Right now they have about 35, 40 projects in parallel, and in total like 60. So you can imagine that it's not easy to manage all this amount of work of these complex projects. And for the project management office, for them, it's visualizing the work, visualizing the risk, visualizing all the blockers in the project, facilitate enormously their meetings and their status reporting, which they previously had to make in all this classic way from the project, coming from project management body of knowledge. The monitoring and control is now, everything is is visualized on the Kanban boards. So they have to meet and talk immediately about what is signaled by the board as either as a blockage or delay or dependence, whatever it is. But they immediately see it. And this allows them to have meaningful conversations focused on the right point about the projects. So this is like a big facilitation for the project management office and all project managers.
Yes, we have a couple of questions about specifically the project manager, but before, I think you're about to ask in some way this question from Lucia. How was managed the sync between the different teams in terms of, I think, tasks to do? The other question from Claudia, how did
excuse me, I am not sure if I understood this
the
question.
synchronization between the different teams?
The synchronization?
Synchronization between different teams.
Yes, they first, each team has their daily meeting and their replenishment meeting when they plan and organize the work within the team, within the area. And when they make the project level meeting, at this meeting at project level, all the responsibles from the different areas participate. And also when they have to replenish this end-to-end workflow, this replenishment meeting for this level for the projects and also for the multiple projects, they have this other cadence, this other periodic meetings for planning the work.
Okay. It's about weekly, periodic, weekly, quarterly.
Weekly, and they have bi-weekly meetings at the level of multiple projects.
Yes, this kind of project, I think, is weekly is minimum.
Yeah.
From Claudia, how did the role of project managers change? How are they convinced to change? And more interestingly, how did the team change? So there is some drop off about the team.
The teams are still changing. And remember what I told you. In this case, there was no need to convince the project managers because they were convinced already. The entire management team is convinced in this case. This is the particular aspect in this story. That's why I brought it here. In this case, the entire management team is convinced that this is the right approach for addressing their problems in the project. So it's not about convincing whether they want or not. They need to address, they need to reduce the delays. They need to reduce the over budgeting. They have to find a way to cope with risks and problems that appear every day from so many places that somehow they have to be aware of what is happening and make the right decisions. So it was the need from the environment in which they are working. And also, it's not dramatic change because the project managers keep manage their project. So we have not changed anything in their role. They keep managing their project. Simply, we have facilitated this project management because only visualizing the work is already a big, an important step that makes the life of the project manager easier. So in this case, we don't have resistance. First, because it's a pain point, important. And second, because we have not changed anything to worse or to more difficult, just the opposite. We are changing the way they manage their projects to something easier.
Okay. Who fostered the interest of the CEO to Kanban? I read the quote from the first meeting.
I don't know. I don't know. I was very much surprised that when I was going to this meeting, a colleague of mine and I, and at that time I had very little availability, and I knew that they were having another previous agile experience, and yeah, you know, for us it was okay. Let's meet with them and let's see what they want, and we will see afterwards if we have availability to start with them. But I was so much impressed by this statement of the CEO in the first meeting. They were so clear that they knew that they needed Kanban. And so we found we found time to work with them. And it was, sure, I think it's a good decision. It was a good decision. But I think they, sometimes I have to ask them. I think
that about that. If you were a book, a suggestion, something he saw in another company.
I think that the previous solution was first it was only a physical board, and it was only at team level. So there was a board for every team, not project.
Yeah.
And the teams were lost because the teams, you understand, they are involved in many projects. So they were seeing the work in the team, but they did not have this view about what is the, where is the project, what is the status of the project.
They not see the work is coming, the amount of work is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that this is my assumption. I have not asked them, but this is my assumption that that's why they were thinking on Kanban, because they needed this end-to-end view of the project. And also physical boards for teams who travel a lot and who work in many different places of the world is not the best solution. So I don't know. These are assumptions.
Had they tried some approach from lean manufacturing before? Did you know?
No. In the plants, in the manufacturing plants, they were using some ideas from lean manufacturing, but not really, because their work is not really manufacturing, although there is production. It's not manufacturing in the sense of mass manufacturing.
Okay.
Even though they have to produce something, it's first it's something very specialized, very specific, and it's not like thousands of pieces of something. Yeah. So no, but they the good point in this company is that they are very disciplined, and because they see benefits quickly from visualizing and from limiting work in progress, it works well.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so which are the key points in this story? For those people who think that Kanban, often I received the question, is Scrum for developing projects and Kanban only for maintenance? So this is the brilliant example that Kanban is not only for maintenance, and it is for managing projects, and it is for managing large projects, complex projects, in environment of high level of uncertainty. And precisely, I think that that was one of the reasons to select Kanban or agility in general, the need to develop this capability of the organization to adapt, because they already know that the deterministic planning is not helping them. Making estimations in the it doesn't matter in which point of the project, because they make the estimations in the very beginning of the project, and afterwards they continue re-estimating and replanning and re-estimating and replanning. So simply it doesn't work, but it's not because the method is wrong, simply because these deterministic methods of planning and managing projects were suitable for environments that were more stable. However, nowadays, the environments are not stable, and there are so many things that are happening every day in so many different places that for complex projects like this, simply the deterministic planning doesn't help. And that's why they were looking, and they are happy now with this, the possibility to learn how to adapt. And to adapt this, it means that they need very fast feedback, immediate feedback about blockages, about risks, about delays, about whatever happens in the project, and making right decisions. And making right decisions requires agreed policies. And this is what they took away immediately after defining the designs of the Kanban systems, and this helps them to adapt quickly. Okay, visualizing the end-to-end flow, very useful for them at all levels. Also supporting the capability to make the right decisions quickly and on the right moment. The usage of real data, they are still on this at this point. I cannot say that they are that they have demonstrated improvements yet, but you know, they are engineers. I think that for industrial engineers, understanding the concepts of systems thinking, managing flow, understanding that every system has determined capacity, be it mechanical system or be it life system as a team. So every system has a capacity, and if they make the system work at the level of capacity, at the optimal level of capacity, the system will work fine. If they try to overload the system, it will crash. And if you replenish the system at a lower level than their capacity, of course, it will not be used optimally. So understanding this is very useful. They got it immediately. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult in other sectors of businesses to introduce this concept, but for the engineers, this is very straightforward. And now they are collecting data in order to start using this real data for lead time for planning. So I hope this will give results soon. And the key point here, apart from what the CEO told me at the first meeting, is this commitment from the entire management, which is conveyed also to the people. And there is no chance here. We observe no resistance here. I think precisely because the management is so much committed that they don't even think that what would happen if we don't change. Simply this option is not considered there. And yeah, this is the strong leadership of the management, which is a key factor here. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so we continue. Case 3 is again a different case, and it comes from BBVA. BBVA is the second largest bank in Spain, top 25 in the world. I mean, in the ranking of the top 25 banks. And this experience comes from their finance department. And the finance area is again complex area, but you will see now that the complexity is coming from is due to other aspects. What you will see, for sure some of you are working in banks, and what you will see in the finance area for bank in particular is that there are many teams, many small teams of very specialized people doing particular operations, tasks, things, and they have to meet very strong regulatory requirements. Everything has to be done today or by a certain date, but always the delivery time is very short. Also, the precision of the results that have to be delivered is very high. We are talking about financial information. And although there are many teams working here, there are dependencies between them as well. Okay, although they don't manage them, or they didn't manage them when I started working with them. How should I say? They were managing them in an ad hoc manner, so as they could. Okay, so in the end of 2017, when I met them again, they had another agile transformation beforehand, and but it was mainly focused on introducing Scrum to projects. And because that was business as usual, the famous BAU, and it was difficult to be managed by Scrum. So it was like, or next, as the name says, core data. It was in the core, in the center of all the processes that. Hello?
Can you listen to me?
There are some. I see the message that.
There is some,
can you hear me?
Yeah, right now better. Can you repeat, please, a little bit?
Okay, yeah, the core data is a team of about 20 people from the bank working also with external people, and this team is in the core, is in the center. Is forms part from all the processes, if not all the people were seeing themselves like attacked from many teams every day. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone is asking for, is requesting information or fix of some data or reports or developing some particular deliverables, and everything is urgent. Lots of interruptions, and they simply didn't know how to cope with this situation. By the way, I put this document here because this is a public case study which you can download from the website of the Kanban Maturity Model. So the situation was that they were feeling like we are attacked every day. Everyone asks for something. The demand is increasing, and we are only the people who we are. There is no plan to extend, to contract more people for the area. So we have to find a way to cope with this increasing demand without increasing the number of people working in the area. So here you can see their first Kanban board in the end of 2017. This is everything which is in progress, and you can. These are like developments, small developments that they do, and these are requests, recurring work, and others. So again, you can perceive that although you do not see what is written on the tickets, but you can perceive that all these tickets for one day for 20 people is quite some work. These tickets are big, slightly bigger chunks of work, and these are those that go faster. So we started with them because their program manager was, when she learned a little bit about Kanban, again, she understood that yes, in fact, I have a system, and my system consists of 20 people, and it's better to find the optimal usage of these people and loading of these people in order that we deliver results instead of keeping them busy but not finishing anything. And that's why she started introducing. She said, okay, we will start using Kanban, and I want to collect data about the demand. And that was kind of revolution in the area because they have never, ever collected any data. So when she said,
Teodora?
Let's wait. I think the streaming can restart itself.
that we are going to collect data about the workflow and about lead time.
No. We've lost Teodora.
Hello?
Teodora?
Yeah.
Yes.
We lost you a couple of
seconds, I think, and we have not more your presentation streaming.
And right now you are making
freeze. Intanto se c'è qualcuno che vuole mettere in coda qualche domanda, someone who want to...
Okay, we'll be back. Let me... So when they started collecting data in the beginning, it was like, we don't like this idea. This is too much control. But the program manager was demonstrating that she was not using the data to manage people, and she was involving them every day in resolving all the issues that had appeared. And that's how they started creating this trust in the team and between themselves. And yeah, by the end of 2018, they improved. They started collecting data. They established classes of service levels, not service level agreements, service levels. They knew very well how much was their capacity. They used this information to start planning and to plan better their work in such a way that it was balanced with their capacity. So, and they were telling their story in the entire bank, and like they were like the stars of the bank. And at this point in the area, they realized that having one team only, although some teams were following their example, but having one or few teams working well does not really help them.
Ale, io...
Antonio.
No, sono frizzato anch'io.
No, tu sei vivo.
The end-to-end process. And an end-to-end process.
Teodora. Oh.
No, there's something weak in your connection, I think.
Do you wanna try without your video? Maybe
Our video, maybe.
or maybe yeah. Teodora?
Yeah, I'm connecting to my mobile phone and it will work.
Okay.
Right. Teodora, try to speak some. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so maybe, I don't know if you hear this, but the idea is that...
Yes, quite good.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you was talking about...
Okay, so you see that to manage an end-to-end process requires coordination that goes, for example, this orange process, let's call it like this, starts from this business unit, goes through other business units, and then the result is delivered to the customer from this from the business unit of the stars. Okay, so with this organizational structure, managing this kind of processes in situations when everything has to be delivered very quickly in very short time and with very high level of precision is simply slow. And here the key role was of the head of business execution, who said, okay, it's clear we need to manage end-to-end processes, and we will start managing them independently without changing the hierarchy of the organization, because it was impossible to even to think or to propose change to the hierarchical structure. So when we started managing these processes end-to-end with the help of the head of business execution, in fact, we started developing these relationships, these connections between teams from different business units, and they started working in a more coordinated, more informed manner. So in fact, these connections are that develop the agility of the organization inside the organization. Okay, so everything is based on policies and on feedback loops. No change to the organizational structure, but the synchronization is getting better and better. And the key points here were seeing the work end-to-end as a service, manage the service end-to-end, shared policies, agreed policies, absolutely key, and creating this team of teams that are involved in this end-to-end process. By the way, yesterday we presented BBVA and I presented the experience, this experience at Enterprise Agility Everywhere, a conference, and soon the video will be public, I assume by the end of this week or next week. So you will be able to see and also the presentation of the results. And we are going to update the case study and we'll publish the case study. So this information is public already and they are progressing very well. But again, here the key is not touching the organizational structure, because this only creates resistance. The support from the head of business execution, and managing work, not managing people, but managing work based on shared policies, based on agreed policies. So the essence of Kanban. If we are living in an environment that requires quick adaptation, quick decision-making, right decision-making, quick feedback in order to make the right decisions on the right moment, definitely we need this shared visibility. And this is the first practice of Kanban. Visualize the work, visualize the work at all the levels that you might need. Remember the second company with the very complex projects in such a way that people have information what is the status of the work and are able to make decisions. Then people in most of the organizations who are seeking agility, in fact, one of the big problems is the overburdening, overloading of the people, coping with so many things that they're trying to carry out in parallel is impossible. And that's why collaboration is difficult, because if you have 18 tickets per person, how can you think of collaborating with anybody? You simply try to survive with everything that one has, okay? And that's why limiting work in progress. Limiting work in progress is a counterintuitive practice, because people say, how can I limit my progress, my work if I have 18 tasks? However, very soon they understand that if they focus on less tasks, they are capable, at the end of the day, they are capable to deliver more. So this is the second practice of Kanban. Then manage work. Manage work based on good understanding of the context. And if the context is visualized and there is good understanding of what is the demand, what is the capability, then the right decisions can be taken. So this is the third practice, manage the flow of work, okay? And I mentioned already several times, if we want to work as a team, as an organization, as a company in a consistent manner, this means that the policies have to be agreed and have to be explicit. And this helps a lot because everyone knows how to do their job. The problem is that agreeing a common way of doing the job and managing the work is needed. And this is this fourth practice, managing policies, making policies explicit. Then you asked me what kind of meetings the project managers do in order to get information about the projects, in order to coordinate between teams, between areas. These are the feedback loops. This is the fifth practice of Kanban. All these periodic meetings, not only meetings, but also mechanisms of feedback. The board is a feedback mechanism because it shows you what is the situation, the real situation of the work. The metrics are a feedback mechanism because they are telling you something about the workflow and you can make decisions. And in addition, we have all Kanban cadences, Kanban meetings that altogether are called feedback loops, okay? And what is important to understand that it's not only about, when we start with Kanban, it's not only about installing a solution that will be the standard solution. And if we install it once successfully, this will work for the next 20 years. It is about understanding that if the context is changing, we as a company also have to adapt and have to change. So it's about continuous improvement. And this is the sixth practice, general practice of Kanban. Improve collaboratively, collecting feedback and opinion from all the people who are involved in the work at the places they do the work, and evolve experimentally, learning continuously. So this is the essence of Kanban. And before going to the Kanban maturity model, if you have questions, I think this is the right place.
Thank you. Grazie. Apriamo i microfoni a questo punto, giusto Antonio?
No,
cioè, chi vuole lo apre, scusami.
Fedora, is there another part?
There is a little part about the Kanban maturity model because, as I told you in the beginning, Kanban is very good, but you see, Kanban is only 6 practices. Okay. So when we teach these 6 practices, even if we teach them in a class, in theory, afterward people say, okay, so how do I start now with all these practices? And that's why the Kanban maturity model exists, to guide people in the application of the practices depending on the context of the organization. But first understanding the context and then selecting appropriate practices and applying them correctly.
Okay, so
I have very little about the Kanban maturity model if you want. If not, we can finish here.
So if you wanna show us something, why not? It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So the Kanban maturity model exists because you see these are the 6 practices of Kanban. So if tomorrow you want to start using Kanban in your company, most probably you will ask, okay, so what do we do? It's clear that I have to visualize the work. It's clear that we have to limit the work in progress, but which metrics do we have to take? When is it appropriate to take the metrics? What will happen if people tell us, like in BBVA, no way, we are not going to collect any metrics because this is too much control? Or what if the company says, we don't care about Kanban and we don't believe that this will help us? So how can you convince them, or how can you show them that this would be a good experience for them? So to answer all these questions, we have the Kanban maturity model. The Kanban maturity model has 4 pillars. Okay, so in parallel to the practices, which is this part, which I will show you how we have defined. In fact, although there are only 6 general practices in the Kanban maturity model, you will see more than 156 in particular specific practices. This means that each one of these general practices, these 6 practices, depending on the context of the organization, which you can identify and level of its maturity, you can decide how you can, what would be an appropriate way to apply this practice. And the good point is that in the Kanban maturity model, we introduce values, cultural values, that work together with the practices. And altogether, values and practices enable the delivery of business outcomes. So in fact, we use the improvement in the business outcomes to see the improvements in the organization, to demonstrate improvements for the companies, but we develop business values and practices. And everything, all this, which I mentioned, is done evolutionary in a managed way, but avoiding resistance. The big problem with all these initiatives is that there are 2 or 3 people who are very much committed, but the others are wondering what this change initiative would mean for them, what are the personal risk for them, for their positions in the companies. And so this is the big difficulty, addressing the resistance in the companies. In fact, in all my experience, this company, this industrial company with the committed management team, is the only case that I know like this. In all the other companies, we have some form of resistance. So, Antonio, have you received the 2 posters from Isabel?
No. Or maybe yes, but I.
Okay, so if you have not received them,
today.
It's there from today.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so you will receive them, so you can share them with the participants in this meetup.
Yeah, I will.
These different contexts of the organizations, different levels of maturity of the organization are described through these 7 maturity levels from 0 to 6. I'm going to describe briefly these levels. And for each one, you see which are the values that we typically observe in this type of organization and which are the practices from Kanban that are appropriate for this level. So once you understand more or less, which we are going to do now, in which kind of organization you are, you already have a map of practices that are appropriate and a list of values that trigger conversations in the company, and talking and introducing these values and these practices will help you demonstrate benefits. So it's like making this work, this part of introducing Kanban easier. Okay. And very briefly about the maturity levels, and you will tell me where you see your organizations. I will start from maturity level 1 because most of the agile companies are at this level. We have teams. Every team, always there is a team lead or head of the team or somebody leading the team. Or we might even have departments, and in these departments, different teams in the organizations. Okay, typical situation. There is transparency in the teams. They are using their Kanban boards or their any visual boards. It doesn't matter how they call them. Or sometimes they use visual boards for the entire team, or sometimes you could see visual boards of this type when there is a row, a line for each one of the team members. So in the teams, there is a collaboration, there is transparency. However, if you try to introduce managing flow end-to-end, it's difficult, very difficult. Why? Because the connections between the teams have to go usually through the department managers, agreeing with the other department manager in order that something is communicated to the other team. And on this path of agreeing, passing through the higher level, information, sometimes information is lost, but even if it's not lost, the communication is slow. So these organizations, 90% of the organizations are at this level, and I'm quite certain about this because in 2018-19 we were doing the KMM beta program, and we realized that 90% of the organizations are at this level. Agile applied at team levels, but between the teams, it's territory of nobody, and all the delays are happening there between the teams, in the queues between the teams. So maturity level 1. In fact, this is the level of this team of 12 people who we saw in the beginning. In the beginning, it was we were thinking that they were the key people who are delivering the work, and that is true. But however, there were dependencies afterwards on other teams, and these dependencies had to be managed by their managers. So typical situation. What happens at maturity level 2? This is the case of BBVA. This is the case of this industrial company. We could continue having this hierarchical organization, and every area of specialists has their manager or head of the area. However, we focus on managing the workflow end-to-end, managing projects end-to-end, managing services end-to-end. And then we start paying more attention to what is happening between the teams, especially between the teams from different business units. And this principle of seeing services end-to-end and managing work from the moment when the customer requests something until the moment it receives this, be it incident, a development, a product or project or whatever, changes a lot the way the company works, the culture of the companies, the relationships between the departments, the teams. So they start cooperating really in this end-to-end flow. So and acting rapidly and effectively on these dependencies between teams, on this where the territories of nobody, allows reducing delays, reducing delivery time, reducing costs. Remember that reducing time automatically leads to reducing costs. So all the companies who are interested in reducing costs, they have to start from reducing time. So this is maturity level 2. Maturity level 3 is when for different groups or business lines of services or product lines, we start managing this flow the same way. And what we are looking for is for achieving balance between demand, all the customers who are requesting something, and this capability of the entire organization. You see that the idea of departments almost disappears at this level, although administratively they continue having departments and the hierarchical structure. However, we introduce these practices of managing end-to-end flow for all business lines or product lines in such a way that there is a balance between demand and capability. Of course, we use metrics at this level that are focused, not more metrics, but metrics that are better focused on meeting customer expectations. And at this level, in fact, the leadership at team levels, at service level, at business unit level is developed better. Okay. And then maturity level 4, I think I would stop up to here, is when in addition to meeting, maturity level 3 is meeting all customer expectations. We say maturity level 3, at maturity level 3, the organization is fit for purpose because they meet all customer expectations in a sustainable manner. And at maturity level 4, in addition to meeting all customer expectations in a sustainable manner, the organization meets the expectations of all stakeholders, all regulatory requirements, and they develop this competitiveness, stronger competitiveness. Maturity, this is the level to which we want to see and to bring companies. Keeping in mind that maybe 90% now are at maturity level 1, if we start seeing companies at level 2, 3, 4, we'll be happy. And maturity level 5 is about market leader. David usually says maturity level 5 is Formula 1. Everyone can produce cars, but only the best one compete at Formula 1. So maturity level 5 is market leader, is the best in class. And maturity level 6 are organizations who are capable to reinvent in different business sectors, so rediscovering themselves. We are working on publishing this book. It will, I assume that by the end of this month, it will be beginning of next month, it will be published. So you will have access to it at some point. So that's the idea of the Kanban maturity model. Antonio either has or will have the 2 posters.
Yeah, I've just shared them into the chat for everyone. Then maybe I'm going to put them on Meetup page for the rest. Are there some questions for Theodora? Don't be shy. Theodora, do you want to add something about your next course?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we are organizing a course in end of June, 24th, 25th, 26th of June. I think it's Kanban system design. So if you are interested, we can deliver it in English. Nowadays, we deliver all the classes online, but don't worry because we are already experienced in this. We started delivering online classes in April, and so we already know how to do this.
But did you decide to do it in English or not in Spanish?
Right now, we can make it in English.
Okay.
So if you are interested, we will make it in English.
Okay, just in case there is the Theodora's mail, but in case you can easily write to me and I can put in contact directly with Theodora. So if there are no questions, we can finish our event here.
Yes. I was wondering about what kind of company did you know at the international level that can be positioned at a level 6?
At level 6 with Kanban, right now we don't know any company at any level because level 6 is inspired in companies who have reinvented themselves, like IBM, like Yahoo, but they have not achieved this with Kanban. We know this, we are aware, simply we aspire to see this.
So it's a sort of North Star for the target we try to address with starting implementing Kanban. So it's more inspirational, as you said.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not an evidence of the Kanbanized revolution of company.
No, We have companies who have demonstrated maturity level 5, but not yet maturity level 6. But we hope that we would see this.
It's okay. Thank you.
So, Claudia, thank you to you and for your participation, and thank you, Lucia, and everyone. Of course, thank you so much, Theodora. It was a pleasure having you here with us in our first English meetup. A great meetup. It's always nice for me, and I think for everyone to listen experiences mixed with theory. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We will see soon, because I'm going to have your course.
I hope so. Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and yeah, we will keep in contact.
Okay, so
okay. If you have questions, Antonio, you will let me know. And
okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for your speech.
Bye bye.
Ciao, buona
Ciao.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao.
Gli ultimi che restano? Vediamo gli ultimi che restano.
Vediamo.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao Stefania, ciao.
Ciao.
Grazie.
Ciao Massimo. Ciao Nicola.
Ciao ragazzi, a presto, grazie mille a tutti quanti.
Ciao Nicola, ciao a tutti. Ciao.
Nella speranza di rivederci presto. Ciao.
Sicuramente quello.
Ciao a tutti, ciao a Nicola di Bari.
Ciao Daniel.
No, non il cantante. Ciao.
No, infatti.
No,
grandi ragazzi. No, l'altro barese.
Ah, Pino.
Ciao.
Ciao Rico.
Bene, dai, al 3 spegniamo tutto e anche live su YouTube. 1, 2, 3. Ciao Stefano.
Ciao.
Ciao ragazzi. Paul Ramos.